I always get asked why my videos look really nice and people tend to go, oh mate, your camera quality is sick fam. People also tend to ask me what programs I use to edit. These things both matter a lot and also don't matter at all. I'm not going to sit here today with a £2,000 camera and tell you that kit doesn't matter and kit doesn't make your videos look much better. It does, but what I will tell you is that a £2,000 camera isn't what you're going to begin making videos on, and it shouldn't be. This is really important to me because I remembered when I wanted to be a YouTuber and everything, I would watch people's YouTube videos and I'd be like, oh, I need this camera, I need this, and then people will subscribe and then people will watch. If you want to start making videos and want them to be better, just keep watching and don't worry about saving up to make videos by spending £2,000 on a camera. Even bloody Will doesn't have one and he has like nearly 5 million subscribers. I got one because I like it and I like cameras. That's pretty much it. Now today I'll be self-indulging in all my things I have in here because I love watching these type of videos and wanted to make one myself. But in the second half of this video I will be letting you know what tips and tricks you can do at home with stuff you probably already have to make your videos look better. Better equipment will make your videos look better. Better equipment won't make your videos better. It doesn't matter if you've got a 4K camera. If it's a bad video, it's a bad video. And if anything, it now looks worse because people can see it with many more pixels. Why do I do jokes like that? What's that head movement? Strange. I use a blue Yeti USB microphone gifted to me from my Geordie sugar daddy. The quality is really good and I wanted a USB microphone so I just got one wire rather than this horrible arm hanging over me on the desk with a mic and then a preamp mixer on a desk. There's quite a lot. A USB microphone which you're listening to me on right now sounds good. People will still watch a video if the audio is crisp. People won't watch a video if it's 4K but it sounds like this. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Dreadful. Get a microphone, first thing. Next up I've got two 27-inch DELL monitors that I bought 2 years apart and the second one was somehow £20 more. I don't care about refresh rate or anything like that. I just wanted two identical sexy looking monitors with the tiniest bevel I could get. Now my PC was gifted to me by Will in that video.
We're a quarter of the way in, you've spent 60% of the money.
I panic! But usually I like to build mine. I built every other computer that I've had before this. This is the only one I haven't built because it's quite fun building them. I have a GCSE in it. This one's pretty sick though. It's got everything I need. I can edit in 4K. However, I actually record in 4K, but I edit in 1080p because that way when I zoom in, I'm crisp. I do a lot of these zooming ins and I look crisp. I can also do some 3D work and I can play games on Ultra. All of this malarkey sits on a £50 desk that I got from Argos. All I wanted was not to get a bloody IKEA Linman desk that everyone has and that I've had a million times and I'm sick of it. That flat pack white, bland, soulless look of IKEA furniture. My bedroom is full of it and I hate it. I've just had so much of it and I've got to a point now where I'm sick of it and I hate the sight of it. Next up is my chair, and every single day I take very good care of my humongous batty and sit upon a noble chair. It was gifted to me. I think it's the Hero Black edition. Now this chair is very expensive. However, I have a terrible back and this is the first chair I've found that doesn't hurt my back if I've been sitting in it for a good 8 hours. When I worked at Football Daily, which is a branch of Sky, I got a bloke to come in and measure me and build the perfect chair. It still was really uncomfortable. This chair is nice and black and sleek. It doesn't look like I'm sitting in the front of a Subaru rally car. GT Omega. Next up I have an Elgato Stream Deck and it does the job. You press the buttons, it does things when you're streaming and you switch scenes and it's great and it's a really good investment. It's not necessary but it streamlines the process so you're not sitting there being like, just gonna change my scene. Scene has been changed. I've got a Razer mechanical keyboard and a Razer Nari Essential headset. The headset's good, but I don't actually edit with headphones on. I hate it so much, I find it really uncomfortable. So I wear them when I'm on Discord or like gaming and stuff. Sometimes they randomly pop, like you've just gotten off a plane. It's a bit strange. And sometimes the keyboard about once a month will just go and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? If I were you at home, don't buy a Razer product. There's definitely much more consistently quality brands out there. I use a £26 Logitech wireless mouse. It's good, does the job, comfortable, but most importantly, doesn't make me look like a massive virgin. Now my camera is an A7 III with a 28 to 70mm Sony lens. Admittedly, it was very expensive, one of the most expensive things I've ever bought. But I was desperate to shoot an S-Log, which is when the footage looks like this and then you add back in the colour afterwards. I wanted a smaller mirrorless camera and not a DSLR. And finally, I wanted to shoot in 4K so I can crop in and it still looks good. And also, it has great autofocus. It is beautiful. Look at this. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm back in focus. Like, it's good. Now, my camera doesn't come with a little flippy out screen, so I had to purchase, for £180, a Lilliput monitor to shove on the top with the batteries. Now, I know this sounds insane considering how much the camera costs and loads of cameras below it have the flippy out screen. However, I would have always bought this monitor because it's big, it's like 7 inches. That's a lot better to check that your own focus when you're recording than a flippy out 2-inch monitor from about 1.5 meters away. Now my camera and my ring light are both mounted to my desk using these 2 desk clamps. It gets rid of having to have a bloody tripod set up permanently behind the desk and just tidies the whole area in general. I was looking, women in general. For ages I was looking at the Elgato Master Mount, but it's like 50 quid per clamp. I then spent a further 30 quid on a little tripod head that I put on one of them so I can plant my camera on and move it around, and I can also use that tripod head on my slider. Elgato products are good, but almost always you can find a cheaper alternative. I've got 2 Neewer softball, I can't say it, Neewer, what was it? I'm going to call it Neewer. I always call it Neewer in my head. I've got 2 Neewer softbox lights and a Neewer ring light. Neewer products, or Neewer, are probably the best bang for buck filming equipment that you can possibly get. Even if I was on a big budget, I would probably still buy them. They're cheap, they're cheerful, and they bloody work. Now, one light that I did slightly overindulge in one payday because I was feeling a little bit fruity is this little bugger. It's magnetic and it has loads of effects. It can be any color you want. You can make it flash, you can pretend that it's fire. It's just a really handy extra light to have. For example, in one video, I used it to add green lighting onto my face so I could sell an effect of a lightsaber shot just that little bit sweeter because I had actual green light on me, which is what, if I had a real lightsaber, is what it would be doing. Next up, I got some cheap LED lighting. It's cool, it looks all right. You know, it does the job. I think when I move house later in the year, I'll probably just get rid of it or put it behind my TV or something. I'm sort of over it. I bought this huge IKEA workbench for like £125 and it just holds all my rubbish and camera equipment crap and leftover crap, and it's just cheap and it looks quite good and it just does the job of holding stuff. As does this little £25 trolley from IKEA. It's good. It's got wheels on it. Next up is my film poster wall, and they're all about £4 each, and I just searched a film I want, followed by A4 poster in Amazon or Etsy. Next up, I have a bunch of sound panels in here, and they're really hastily stuck onto the wall with double-sided tape and 3M strips, and to be honest, I'm not sure they're doing anything. I don't understand anything about acoustics in sound. The ones behind me usually are definitely doing nothing. They're behind me. I'm just talking into a void, which I'm almost certain is the opposite thing that you want to do with soundproof foam. You want to keep it as a small space in front of you so the audio doesn't bounce everywhere and echo. It sounds fine. Now finally we have the Laowa Probe lens. It's a really good lens. If you want to use it, just rent one or buy one as an investment and then rent it out to people who want to use it. It's a really specific lens and you really don't need one unless you want to earn money doing product shots. Now finally we have my Dell XPS 15 laptop. This is my most expensive purchase ever. I bought it because I wanted to be able to have something good enough to edit on the go, and also I didn't want it to look like crap. Most high-end editing and gaming laptops look like they can be in Fast and Furious. I hate the look of them. Oh man, they're so ugly. You're not carrying that around and cracking that out in a Costa. So that's been my studio tour. Now we're going to move on to some tips and tricks that you can do to make your videos at home look better by spending the smallest amount, if anything, possible. Tip number 1, audio is more important. If your video has incredible 4K footage but absolute toilet audio, people will click off. So the first thing you want to do is save up for a good microphone, but something you could do for free is just use your phone as a microphone. You can hold it here and talk into it like this and it sounds pretty good. Or you can just pop your phone in your pocket and then you just talk like this, and then look, your hand's free. You've got a phone in your pocket, but it's better audio than this. This sounds terrible. This sounds much better. And it didn't cost me a penny apart from the £1,200 phone that's in my pocket recording it. But we are working on the basis that you have a smartphone. This would work for any smartphone. Tip number 2, lighting is everything. Now we're working on the basis that you don't have any studio lights, but you probably have a bunch of lamps in your home. Contrast on your subject, which is you, tends to make the shot look better. So if you have 2 lights, plop one at 45 degrees, plop one in the background to light up the background and to light up the back of you. And what you're trying to achieve is to separate yourself from the background. That's what that backlight does. Avoid turning on the big light if possible. The big light just looks ugly. Turn it off. Tip number 3, shot choice. 90% of the time, shooting flat against a parallel wall looks terrible and boring. As I was saying before, you always want depth in your scene. So shoot about 45 degrees, that's what I currently am, from the corner of a wall or something, and I promise you your shot will look so much better. Then after that, just add in random set dressings like, I don't know, a plant. Go crazy. Tip number 4, be frugal and clever. Personally, I've always used Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects to do my editing and my effects. However, despite having only ever used them, I've never always been able to afford them. If you understand what I'm saying. Now, if you don't fancy sailing the 7 seas to learn, then there are perfectly free professional editing software available. DaVinci Resolve. Films like Kingsman, Spectre, and unfortunately Star Wars The Last Jedi were all edited on DaVinci Resolve. Great for editing and great for color grading. Tip number 5, YouTube tutorials and making mistakes. Repeatedly following YouTube tutorials and making mistakes and just trial and error is how I know absolutely everything I know. It's how I know how to edit, it's how I know how to do effects, it's also how I know how to extend an Adobe 30-day trial into an Adobe a lot-a-day trial. There's an insane amount of information on the internet. There's no excuse to not learn anything if you want to learn something. Just Google it. This sort of applies to anything, but if you're interested in making videos and you're hesitant to because you're like, oh, I don't have the right equipment, it doesn't matter. Just do it now. Just start creating now. Get stuff right, get stuff wrong. Just enjoy it and learn. Because learning's the best thing ever. And how is this not sponsored by Skillshare again? Learning new things, failing, and just overcoming problems with just the stuff you've got and being clever about it is pretty much all life is, and it's where the most fun things happen. I've been Ciarán, I hope you've enjoyed this calm one, and I'm off to try and turn myself into a 3D model. I'll see you next week. Bye! Women. Women in general. I love women. Specifically women. The ones in general, women. I love women. You know who doesn't? Shane Dawson. He likes cats.